Do you want to live forever?
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're checking out Super 7 Ultimates Wave 5 from their Conan the Barbarian line, and immediate impression, Grand Slam. I mean, you know I'm going to love it because it's Conan. I'm going to find some reason to love it, but I think they really outdid themselves with this wave. We've got paint and shading on every character. We've got really nice, shiny, bright metal on all of their weapons and some of their armor elements, and we've got pretty decent articulation for Valeria and Subutai, new entries into the line. So let's jump right in. From left to right, we've got Thulsa Doom Battle Mounds version with some really nice additional gold trim elements and some bronzing elements with a new cape. We're going to take a close look at each figure individually. We also have Valeria coming up next in her Do You Want to Live Forever pose. And I think this figure exceeded my expectations for what I thought we were going to get. The portrait is wonderful. The shiny metal looks absolutely dope, but we're going to look at her closely also. We've got Conan with the primary portrait. Whoa, sorry, Subutai. Dinner for Wolves. We've got Conan with that wild facial expression. And I'm going to be honest, I had to look at the movie earlier today to see what was going on there. And that's the portrait, I believe, from when he's running at the horse that Rexor is riding in the scene Battle Mounds. And he has that wild facial expression. We're going to look at him closely also, of course. And we have Subutai. And since he's in this really dope pose, we're going to start out today with Subutai. So let's jump right in. All right, looking at Dinner for Wolves himself. I'm super impressed with the shading and the wrinkles and the sculpting here on the pants. He's got good articulation, as you can see. I do wish his knees gave us more than that. You know, it's not quite 90. You've got shading there also on the boots. You've got some rusting here on that plate armor he has along his waist. And you see you've got good tension here. As I'm moving him around, it holds together. Well constructed. It just looks so dope, man. This is a rubbery feeling plastic. Nice metallic there for that armor piece. You've got the brown on the straps, but then you've got a wash and shading for different colors of brown on that leather strap. You've got some silver there on the buckle. It's just such a well done figure. I mean, we have a Subutai figure and it's awesome. It's a well done figure. Very nice, soft rubber plastic here for the armor. And these straps are tightly fitting around the thighs, but he can still move because the rubber is soft. Super dope. You've got swivel. You do have some forward and back there. He won't really hold it. Oops. But you got something there. Leg will come all the way forward for you. Got some wobble there. You've got swivel at the knee, but it's not intentional, I guess, because of the sculpt. But you do have swivel at the boot. Great rocker. Look at that. Toe down, toe up. And again, he's still holding that arrow, you know? Thief and archer. So dope, man. Jerry Lopez action figures, so dope. You've got that look down the arrow. This is a dope figure. It feels like an action figure. You can actually, whoops, I hope I didn't break anything. You've got ratcheted knees there, but you could play with them. You could play with them. Oh, and I lost the arrow. You could play with them and you could do things with them and set them up. Have him in a running pose there while he's throwing his arrow or shooting his arrow, sorry. A little bit of excitement. You know, so dope. Let's take a close look at everything else. You got single jointed elbows, but you get enough range that you can get that pose. I've got him here with the articulated hand for shooting arrows. On this side, you've got these spikes on his armor. Man, a super thigh figure, bro. There he goes running in between the mounds. Yo, this is so dope. Oh man, I wish they would have gave us a hero, bro. We need a Mako figure, bro. This sheath over here for his sword that we're gonna check out right now, you just attach it with a nice T peg and it goes in there pretty simply. And you can pull out his sword. Pretty soft plastic. Nice size, perfect size sword. Worth mentioning. In terms of the head, let's look at the portraits. And that is a great likeness on both portraits. Very, very cool, man. Subutai is in the house. Next up, let's check out Valeria. Now, this is a figure that I never thought we would see. I didn't know how popular the Super 7 line was going, and I just didn't know. You know, once I saw them mention the Conan, Conan and the Throne, I figured, you know what? They're going to end the Conan the Barbarian line. That's the end of the movie, you know? But nope, they gave us the Battle Mounds wave and Valeria, and she's dope. Immediate impression was, wow, they nailed it. They nailed it. I thought to myself, how are they going to, you know, get plastic to look like that shiny effect from the movie, you know? That mystical effect. And I feel like they did a great job of nailing it. Look how shiny that is. So cool. This plastic is very, very soft. That is such a light gold. It looks absolutely dope. She's got armor here. These are soft armor pieces that have a thick plastic attaching it to this that goes over her chest. Very nicely done. Hair is soft, so you could turn her head and the plastic folds and bends. Very, very nice. At the arms, you get a little bit better than 90. Swivel at the bicep. The arm isn't stopped by that armor. Very cool. She does have swivel at the waist, but no front, no crunch at all. You've got your split. And the leg, you'll get close to 90. So that's not bad. Well, if you ever watch the channel, you know I always say I hate figures that have heels. I'm not a fan of it, I should say, not hate. But I think that this is tactfully done. It's like the movie, first of all. And you see that nice shading there on the boot. It's just such a dope figure, man. Such a dope figure. She's got great toe down. Pretty decent toe up. You've got your rocker and stuff, but she stands relatively easy. You know, you just kind of like press the feet down into the ground and she'll stand up for you. Whoops, proved me wrong there. You proved me wrong. She'll stand up for you. So they're well done. They have a nice surface that she'll stand. Well, of course, not on command. She looks absolutely dope. I think they nailed it. She's called the Valeria Spirit version of Valeria. And on the bio, which you saw at the beginning of the video, it talks about that this is her Valkyrie self. And what I thought was dope about that is that means that when she passed on, she didn't go to the pits of hell and had to come back to save Conan. No, she went to Valhalla. And she was anointed as a Valkyrie. You know, and then she came back and saved Conan. And that's just really dope, man. I think that's just like writing genius, you know, saying things without saying them, you know, showing it, not saying it, you know, just beautiful, beautiful storytelling. And this is a beautiful figure. All right, next up, we're going to look at Thulsa Doom. Now, this figure is pretty much identical to a previous release we got. And let's look at that. Got them there side by side. Except for the paint finishes, which are obviously very different, even on the armor elements around the waist there. And here on the forearms, you see that the bracers are golden. But otherwise, it's the same sculpt and same design. Whoops, as everything falls down. And we're going to look at the the portraits close together for a second. And you can see primarily the paint elements are different, and the flesh tone inside of the helmet is slightly different. The original release is darker. This release has a slightly lighter flesh tone, but both of them have the problem with this crescent moon centerpiece being off center, which is like less noticeable from some angles. Now this is the new portrait, and we'll get it side by side. Both portraits, I think it's the identical portrait, just with slightly different paint schemes. The eyes here are greener. Hell yeah. I love the armor, the way it's painted up here, and the color on the snake shoulder pauldrons here. I mean, that is so dope. These are soft elements. You're gonna get your standard articulation. And back, forward. Not a tremendous amount of range. Similar to Conan, minimal forward here. He'll definitely not sit on any thrones for you without slouching back. But he is a dope looking figure. All right, I'm gonna stop hiding the cape. Look at that. Look at that. How dope is that? You've got this little piece here, which just looks really cool. You've got the red on the inside. And you know what? When I was watching the movie again today, I hadn't noticed ever that he had on a black cape with white trim and red and red underneath. I never noticed that. You know, I was like, oh wow, that's great attention to detail, Super 7. Very dope, man. I'm loving it, loving it. Now you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, he looks great, but can he sit on a horse? And the answer is yes, he can ride a horse. I have him here with the Mythic Legions. I don't remember his name, but he's the horse from the Four Horsemen Figura Obscura set. You know what I just thought of? I can set up a Riders of Doom shot using a couple of others Mythic Legions horses and Rexor and Thorgrim. So I think I'll do that later on this weekend. But this looks absolutely dope. And I think I might have to feature Thulsa Doom like this. You might be thinking to yourself, can Thulsa Doom use his bow like Subutai does? No, he cannot. I'm not even gonna try. But he does have a bow. It does have the elastic band. And he does have the serpent arrow that has a little opening in his mouth so that he can grab onto the elastic band. Very cool. The man himself, Conan the Barbarian, wilding out, going after a horse. And don't worry, the horse was not injured in that stunt because in the 80s, horses were just more badass. This portrait, when I saw it first, I was like, yo, Super 7 is bugging. They're bugging. But you know what? They nailed it. I paused the movie. I had to do a couple of different attempts to pause it to get a freeze frame that was clear enough. And they nailed it, man. They got him wilding out, yelling, ah! Getting ready to just trip. We're going to say he tripped the horse with his sword. And they nailed it. He has the helmet. This helmet is not removable. These points are pretty sharp. There's a little give there. They're not brittle. Not much give on the helmet itself. Oh, look, we've got a slot and we've got a peg on the armor. I didn't know that. I thought it was glued in or something, but it's a substantial peg. So nice fit. Another peg in the front. But just looking closer at the armor elements, I think this is well done. The sculpting, you've got one color here, then you've got like a green with shading for the sculpt on top. The sword is still insanely massive. I mean, it is insane massive. You get that ab crunch movement there, and movement is going to be hindered some because of this wrap leather. You've got your rocker and stuff. No intended swivel down here. You could force it, but it might damage the sculpt. But you do have swivel up there at the thigh, swivel at the waist, and some different Conan versions. So here we have the iconic pose Conan. I also have the war paint Conan. And now this is a little custom that I did with his sword, where I painted it gold and I cut about a ½ an inch off the top, because, and we'll get it side by side there. Oh, let's see that again. There we go. Maybe a ½ an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch. Let me see, get it closer. Yeah, about a ½ an inch. And I just think it looks better. I feel like it sizes better. Give you that iconic pose. That was like my first experiment, but I like the look of it, and we're gonna go with it. But before we do, let's get all our Conans out here to give you that comparison. Quick shot at all of our movie Conans so far. There's been 5. So we've got War Paint, we have Battle Mounds now, we have Pit Fighter, we have iconic pose Conan, and we have the King Conan himself. And we can also add into the mix the first comic Conan release. And we'll get him over here where we have some space. Very, very dope. I can also bring out Super7's recent retro vintage Conan the Barbarian. And in case you're wondering, yes, this one has a smaller sword, but because it's so broad and stout, even here at the hilt, it just doesn't look right with a typical Ultimates figure. But there you have all of the Conan figures we've gotten from Super7 so far. Very, very awesome. I haven't heard anything about any more film-related releases after Wave 5. So I hope it's not over. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the final thoughts. This is easily, I think, my favorite collection since coming back to collecting. But I think that the Conan collection is my favorite. You know, I sometimes play with the idea to try to like figure out really what's my favorite, you know, and I like to think of the idea, if I had to keep only one collection, if I had to get rid of every collection and just keep one, what would it be? I think it will be the Conan collection. And this wave is a knockout. I have the likeness on all of the portraits of all of the figures is a knockout. Oh, I forgot to show you one extra portrait. This is the best. How could I forget to show you this portrait? This is the best likeness that we've gotten in the line so far. They knocked it out of the park. They nailed their uniforms, their outfits. They just look absolutely dope. But thinking of the future, another transition. What does the future hold for the Conan the Barbarian line? I don't really know. I haven't heard any announcements for the Barbarian film line. And I hope it's not over. You know, I would like to see Rexor and Thorgrim revisited. I really would love to see Akiro also, aka, you know, the real life Mako. I really would like to see him in the line. He's in the Battle Mound scene. As a matter of fact, I also forgot to show you, you get an accessory super pack of bloody metal painted weapons. How dope is that? You know, I forgot to mention that. Man, I'm telling you, this wave is super loaded, and I just love it. I love the movie and stuff so much. I'm just taken by the figures, and I think it's so dope. You see here, we still have the super massive Atlantean, but the super pack, which you only get if you order the entire wave directly from Super7. The super pack comes with a painted steel father sword, which is oversized, of course, and a painted steel cut father sword, also from the Battle Mound scene. You get Subratai sword bloody, you get the bloody Conan axe, bloody Valeria sword, you get a bloody arrow for Subratai, and you get a bloody spear. And that bloody spear should be, I know it's his accessory, he has the unbloody one back there, but in the scene Bloody Mounds, Akiro clearly kills one of the bad guys with a spear, and he says, "Oh, I killed him with my spear." You know, so we got to get a Kiro. So what I'm thinking is, suggestion to Super 7, if anybody out there works for them or sees this, we could get another Battle Mounds 2 wave with Rexor and Thorgrim looking the way they looked in that scene, because they didn't have all the same armor elements on. It was a different scene. And also give us a Kiro in that wave. And that would be dope. And if you want to put 4 figures in the wave, give us one of the henchmen. Or maybe King Osric's daughter even. You know, you got the female buck now, you know, so maybe we get a Battle Mounds 2.0. But either way, I would love to get in a future wave, hopefully if the line is not dead, I'd love to get the war paint team with the white coat on the skin, with the stripes painted over that. You know, so I would like Valeria, Subutai, and Conan done up in the right war paint, and that would be super dope. And you know what? Maybe even a Tree of Woe Conan. You know, maybe that's not too far of a deep cut. That's a major historic scene. That should be a play set, you know. But, you know, big dreams, big dreams. But who knows? Because I never thought I'd get those figures, man, from those movies. As always, everybody, thank you so much for coming out and sharing in the experience of collecting toys as an adult. Until next time, everybody, thank goodness it's playtime.